How's it going, guys? A few days ago, I guess, or maybe yesterday, I put out a video on how to do the Dire Maul dungeon, kind of a guide on how to approach the stages in it, and some characters that I would suggest using, along with some talents. And as a lot of new players have entered the game with a global launch, of course, we're going to also cater to them folks and have a guide out absent talent. So this is going to change up some of our characters, going to change up some of our strategy. I hope you enjoy this video, and we're actually going to do a deep dive on talents today. I'm hopefully going to have that video up either tonight or tomorrow morning, because talents are so important to get the right ones right away, especially for the majority of people who are going to be non-spenders, because there is no going back, and talents fundamentally change the way you get to play this game. So look forward to that. I hope you enjoy this. If you do, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Alright, so let's get in there and do this dungeon. This is pre-recorded footage, so we can kind of go back and forth and watch things in a little bit more depth. So, Dire Maul, Horde side, let's show you the Horde leader that I would suggest new players start with, and that's going to be Sneed. He's the best Horde leader in the game, in my opinion, for PvE content. And because he's getting his dungeon right now, if you fill in some of these army slots, you get a bunch of upgrades. He'll be just your best leader overall, because you get free levels on your minis from this system. Baron Rivendare, objectively, all things equal, much better than Sneed. However, we can't get those free levels on Baron until there is an Undead Dungeon Week. So the characters we're using the Tauren Charger, the Darkspear Troll. You'll notice he is replacing Goblin Sapper from what I recommended in a previous video. And that's because without the Goblin Sapper talent to make them run fast, they lose so much credibility. Like, you cannot rely on them to make it to objectives and to actually pop off. So I just don't use them without that talent. We have the Warsong Raider, we have Whelplings. They as well lose about 50% of their utility because they don't do explosions, right? I can't drop them on a Huntress, I can't drop them on an Ogre Mage. That initial damage doesn't happen, and so they just immediately die before anything, before they do anything. Safety Pilot, again, no talent, no talents here, that's the whole point of the video. And we have Quillborn. Alright, so let's get in there, and let's see what relics we get to choose from. I forget which one we got. Alright, so we got Scroll of Renewal that heals our leader. Unstable Concoction makes us explode. This one's actually okay-ish for the low-level dungeons. But Ogre Commendation is by far probably the best relic you can get in the dungeon. So deploying any Horde mini also summons a Grunt at your base. We have 4 Horde minis. We have Sneed, so we're getting a lot of gold. So even though we got a bunch of 3 and 4 cost characters, we just get to rip through it. Alright, so let's get in there. This is the first level. This first level, I'll give a quick explanation how it works again. Whenever you knock an enemy to 70% life, that enemy will lose their mind and they'll attack their friends. They'll kill whoever their initial target is first, but they'll attack their friends, they'll attack their base, they'll go nuts. How you want to handle this node is you want to address the left side push, drop a Safety Pilot, drop a Whelp Eggs, whatever you need to do there, and they're going to then turn on each other. That's all you want to do on the left side. You want to control the right side then. You want to get that early chest either with your Raider or with Sneed, so you get the 4 gold. You want to get that early tower. It's closer. Once you get that tower, you're in more control of the map, and then you can start focusing on the left side. If you're doing a little bit of a punch up or punch across like I'm doing here, you're going to have to wait until you address the second push from the enemy characters. So we dropped the Safety Pilot in. It looks like we had to drop a Troll Hunter there as well because that Safety Pilot didn't push them quite low to 70. And you see our Raider just absolutely popping off. Don't be afraid to go and grind experience before you do a dungeon. And you could have lopsided characters. You could have your Tauren Charger and your Raider a lot higher level, and your Safety Pilot. You can have those 3 characters a lot higher than the rest of your army, and you're going to do really, really well here. So you see we got the left side under control, but sorry, the right side under control, but there is a left side push coming right now, and I need to address that. Chest pops, I'm going to make sure I use my my Sneed leader ability, and we're going to grab that with a siege unit, even though that leaves the left side high and dry. So we take that out, we have the right side under control, time to go for the left side, and once that left side is owned, then it's over. We're going to send in just a huge army on that boss, and that'll be it for that boss. Once I have kind of the enemy's incoming attacks under control, I will prioritize denying the enemy gold. From the chest on the top left to the mine on the top right, and then you'll see the enemy Ogre up there, he got pushed below 70% life, so his allies had to kill him, but not before he got a bunch of nice splash damage in on us. Or in for us, I should say. That Grunt has turned on the boss, so he's tanking the boss for us. And now we just have a really nice collective unit over here on the boss, and this is going to be it for the boss, right? So that's it for stage 1. Deal with the incoming attack on the left side. Grab the chest and the tower on the right side. Assess what is coming at you as far as enemies go. Deal with the threats, and then get that left side under control. And from there, it's all going to fall into place. All right, let's see what relics we got. We got Primal Air. That one's kind of mid. Rich Purple Silk Shirt. Minis costing 4 or 5 gold deployed with a shield. I would suggest you take basically any relic. Oh, Dark Moon Prize Wheel is awful. Let's talk about this one for a second. Minis costing less than 3 gold cost 1 more. Our trifecta, our Whelplings, our Safety Pilot, and our Quill all cost 3 gold. I think this makes them cost 4. I've never touched it, but their portraits are there, so that's what I assume. Makes your Kobold cost 2 as well. This is just horrible for this next composition. Oh, also the Dark Spirit. Yeah, this just makes everything cost more. This is a really, really bad relic for us to take. The other two, having a shield on our tank units seems good. It's on your pieces that cost 4 or 5 gold. That seems good, but our units are so tanky anyway, an extra hit is kind of just whatever. So instead, I think I end up taking the damage here, even though it's minimal. So our second relic not really affecting the outcome of this dungeon in any meaningful way, in my opinion anyway. What I would say though is if you ever see a relic that helps increase the tankiness of your team, whether that be when you play Sneed, it's going to decrease the cost of the next Horde, that's a good one. Sneed gains a level every time you play him, that's a great one. The one we have here with the Ogre Commendation, that's probably the most OP one. Gain Bloodlust when the ally dies, that's not bad for the final node. Tanks costing 1 less gold, oh, that's the best one. Yeah, you get so many Warsong Raiders and Tauren Chargers out there, that's definitely the best one. So that you do have some options. Lean in towards the tankiness of your team when it comes to using this army. Alright, so for this boss, whenever you summon an ally, a little eyeball is going to spawn behind him. So you have to be very mindful where you're placing your characters. Actually, that's why I had to redo this dungeon a bunch of times, because I kept trolling myself by dropping the Kobold directly on a gold mine, letting himself blow up. It's not that I lost, it's that I thought the footage was doo-doo, and I didn't want to show you guys doo-doo footage. Alright, so this is what we need to do. We need to control the 2 gold mines on the left, get that Meaning Stone with either the Raider or Sneed so we get the additional gold, grab the tower on the right side, and just like the first boss, we're going to send a coordinated attack in from there. Once we have those 2 objectives, we're going to have priority on all the gold nodes, and we should be able to get it done in an easy way. Again, though, the eyeballs are an absolute pain. Make sure you're not summoning characters in such a way that they're going to then be stationary and the eyeball will kill them. Your tanks can kind of take a hit. Your Quillbore can kind of take a hit, so you can still use him regularly. But your Safety Pilot, your Whelpling eggs, you cannot throw them into combat at all. If you throw them into combat, the enemies will pop them, and then the eyes will kill the Whelplings. Instead, you got to throw the Whelplings off on their own, let the eyeballs pop the eggs, and we can go from there. Alright, here we go. We're going to hit fight now. And I'm going to go for this right side right away. We're going to address that push. You see the eyeball spawning behind me. And the tower takes it out, so then I summon my Warsong Raider, and again, another eyeball spawns. And then you see the Kobold there. I summoned him far away from everything so that he'll make it to that gold mine properly. But what I didn't realize is I summoned it away from the tower range, and so the tower didn't protect the Kobold. So you got to not summon it so far that the tower's not going to save you. You notice I summoned the Safety Pilot away, and the eyeballs come out anyway. And that is a big problem without the Safety Pilot talent for the coming down quick. She's always going to eat those eyes, which is really dumb. You see, I put the Whelpling eggs over there. The eggs are going to pop it, and then the Whelplings themselves will protect the base. We have a Banshee here. I don't really care. It's going to take over 1 Whelpling. The other 2 Whelplings will kill it. That didn't even happen. Instead, we just splash damage to death. I summoned a Kobold on the left side. I didn't make the same mistake, so we were able to get the gold on this 3rd node. And there's 3 gold pieces in there, so that's going to be fantastic. So yeah, the Quillbore, I don't mind putting him in the spot so he eats the eyeball. Watch this damage. It's not nothing, but it's not crazy. Now we have control over both objectives, so it's time to build up a nice little gold stock and go from there. And this Safety Pilot, I am just actually going to let her die. That eyeball is going to hit that the Grunt and the Tauren, but they're tanky, so I know they can take it. And there you go. That's going to be all she wrote for this this stage. You can see it's a lot slower. Without the whelp eggs doing their burst, without the safety pilot coming down and then actually getting away from the danger, it's a lot slower. But with the power of tankiness, we get it done. Oh yeah, I remember that war song, Raider Steal from that Banshee. That one hurt. That one hurt to watch. And boom, 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 go, go, whelps. There we go. All right, let's move on over to the last stage, which is actually a lot easier in the lower level dungeons, I gotta say. What are our options here? So we got Gnomish Flywheel. Playing a Cycle Mini causes your next Cycle Mini, next non-Cycle Mini to cost 1 less. That's great. That helps us get more tanks out, right? Anything with gold is really good for Sneed. Your melees gain lifesteal. That is insane for us because we have so many melee units and they're all tanky and they hit really hard, so they do a lot of healing. Your armored minis inflict poison on nearby enemies. That's kind of, it's okay, but Sneed being a little bit under leveled than the rest of my army here, it's not quite worth it. All right, so here we go on the boss, and we're gonna employ a little bit of a different strategy. We don't need to get both of the big bosses like we did in a previous video. Instead, we can just get one, or we can bypass all that and just kind of brute force this, because we are doing punch acrosses at lower levels, so the scaling works in our favor. It's a little bit more forgiving in that regard. So we deal with the initial burst, and then you see we have 4 very tanky units heading towards that tower. One of them is a siege unit, so we're going to get that extra gold, and we send our kobold to the right side. There is 2 opening gold pieces in that mine, so by the time he gets there, there's 3, and this is going to really help us drop bombs on the shaman. So you need to wait. You need to wait until that orc makes his way down to your army, because if we put in the quill too soon, he's going to turn around and start beating on it. So there you go. We summon in the safety pilot. We summon in the quill boar. I put my eggs on the right side because that's where the enemies had been historically coming from. And you see the game trolls me and actually puts them on the left side. And it's going to kill my safety pilot before that shaman dies. So we're doing a nice balancing act here. We need to keep aggro on the boss away from that shaman because the shaman is doing an insane amount of healing, right? So we get lucky, the boss decides he just wants to slide my Quillboar over, our whelp eggs get popped, and then the shaman's dead. And now we win. So this boss is super, super simple. Oh, I guess the shaman's still alive right now. We get one more hit on it. There you go. Now the shaman's dead. This boss is super, super simple. If you allow the shaman to heal, you will not kill this boss. It'll build up its fury no matter what kind of army you send at it. It'll just wreck you. If the shaman's dead, this boss is free. Absolutely free. And because we never grabbed the left or right bosses, they're not in play here. They're not ping-ponging back between the main boss and us, and we have to deal with them to mind control them. Nothing like that. We're simply just controlling the main boss. So now, whatever damage we put on this boss will stay. Clearly, there's a storm brewing on that right side that I'll have to address. The left side is completely barren. But you can see this boss, his health is steadily dropping. You could also be a little bit more strategic about this. You could do this in waves. Again, his fury is building up. He's attacking super fast now, right? I could have just left the initial attackers on him, addressed this bottom one much sooner, and then finished him off with a second wave of attacks. Which is what I end up having to do anyway, but I let my tower kind of get beat on a little bit more than it needed to. We're always looking for gold sources. Sneed loves his gold. Now we're going to deal with these attackers. And this will be the final push on the boss. He's already half-life. We got our Tauren Charger there. The safety pilot will put a bunch of damage onto that initial group there. And now the boss is just getting beat up. Yes, it's building up fury, but I do think this is the push where we take it out. Oh, actually, you know what? He's getting a lot of health back. We might have to do one more push after this. There you go. Here's the final push. Oh, another orc mage. That's too funny. The Darkspear Troll doing his very best. So as you can see, guys, this is a way to get the dungeon done talentless, being a little bit lower level. I would suggest keeping your level even with the dungeons. Go farm a couple levels. Make sure you're targeting your Horde characters using here with those tomes. Do it at an even level above. If you're one level above this dungeon, it becomes like 25% easier. So just be mindful of that. Once you get to like level 20, you don't really have a choice because levels are exponentially more difficult to get. So enjoy the easier early game content before you get into the super grindy end game content. And now let's talk a little bit about like army upgrades in general, because as a new player, this is going to be very important. It is very important because once you hit like level 17, 18 on the dungeons, it gets much more difficult to actually beat them. So as you see here, I actually have a silver border. I haven't put a single point into my leader yet, and I have a unfinished bottom right piece as well. When I beat the last dungeon, I was given an option. I could get the Horde upgrade an additional level, or I could put in a leader piece or the bottom right piece. I suggest that it is better to put more levels on fewer characters than to have a balanced out army. The reason for that is because what we just talked about a little bit earlier. Levels get exponentially more difficult to obtain as you grow in the game. So having one Horde character like my Tauren Charger have 2 levels on the enemies is absolutely gigantic. So if I can get her to 3, if I can now switch that to a gold and she gets a 3rd level, she's going to be even more influential in the battles. And you could do that for your key players. Like for my ranged safety pilot, I'll do a bunch more dungeons before the dungeon week is over. I will aim to get the safety pilot to gold because she is the most influential unbound mini out of my trinity that I preach all the time without a talent. With talents, maybe Whelplings kind of pull ahead. I don't know about that. But that's going to be it for the dungeon guide, guys. You can check me out on Twitch. We'll be obviously pushing more of these dungeon levels with our Steed. I just said we're going to do that. So that'll be fun. I hope this helps you guys in your early game adventures. If you want me to tack on the early game dungeon with the late game dungeon in one video, I'll start doing that going forward so that we're hitting everybody's needs and every future person's needs as well. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.